Welcome to History 111, Lecture 26, Transportation and Communication. Early on in the United States, there were two main transportation methods, and from 1790 to 1820, turnpikes dominated, but the canal age begins at about 1820 and runs to 1840. The Erie Canal is one of the more significant ones built this time, and like all other canals, it's a man-made waterway meant to make travel fast and easy, and it's going to provide a new shipping route from Lake Erie to the Hudson River. And because it's going to connect New York City to the Great Lakes, the canal is going to help make New York a dominant commercial center by expanding its markets. Now, New York City also has a major port, and that's going to make it a center for shipping and trading, as well as an arrival point for thousands of foreign immigrants. And the port being at the end of a major river system fed by canals is going to give it a huge competitive advantage and make New York City, in many ways, one of the primary centers of commerce. Ultimately, railroads are going to supplant canals, and the first U.S. railroad lines are built in the 1820s and become prominent after 1830. That's going to swiftly change small western towns like Cleveland, Cincinnati, Detroit, and Chicago into booming commercial centers. By 1840, railroads had truly replaced canals and steamboats as the most important form of transportation within the United States. And this time there's also consolidation of all these different short lines into longer connected lines called trunk lines, and that's going to allow the connection of the North and the Old Northwest. It's also going to divert traffic away from the main water routes like the Erie Canal and the Mississippi River. Another significant invention at this time is the telegraph. In 1844, a man named Samuel Morse puts together a relatively cheap and simple way to make for mass communication, and all they needed to do was string these wires across the country, and for the most part they ran them right down the railroad lines because it was already cleared land. And by 1860, a lot of different telegraph lines joined communication to one organization, the Western Union Telegraph Company, and they can send short, simple messages using a combination of dots and dashes all across the country in a relatively short period of time, and allowed for things to become much more rapid and much better connected. Now, all of this has consequences for the newspaper industry, and a man named Richard Hoe invents what's called the steam cylinder rotary press, which makes it possible to print newspapers very rapidly and very cheaply. As a result, newspapers expand, not just in terms of number, but in terms of how much they're printing every day. So the various publishers from around the nation form the Associated Press to promote cooperative news gathering by wire. So in other words, what they would do was everyone would send basic short blurbs about what happened down the telegraph lines, and then each newspaper would write up its own version based on that condensed set of facts. And since everybody's putting their own local spin on this, ultimately what's going to happen is this is going to help fuel sectional discord, because stories are going to be spun one way in the north and an entirely different way in the south, and so on. So what's the big idea here? Well, importantly for the United States, these types of changes in transportation and communication are really going to drive the North and the Northwest to become linked together and become heavily economically integrated. On the other hand, things like the Associated Press, which are also linking up the nation, are also going to help fuel sectional discord. And what we see is a strengthening of the bonds in the North and the West, and a weakening of the bonds with the South. See you in the next lecture.